This is Ready, Set, Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination, and on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey, we refer to ourselves as guides rather than hosts, as we too are traveling, supporting each other, and learning on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy C. Wright. Joining me on my journey today is Zara Starchild. She is an international energy healer, channel, and leading guide to awakening the multi-sensory human. She has worked with thousands of individuals, teaching and coaching them to awaken their light body and discovering their divine gifts. She is the founder and CEO of True Light Academy and Healing Center in Kingston, New York, and a mentor within the Divine University, a collective of 80-plus lightworkers around the world, anchoring new teachings onto our beloved planet Earth. Zara, welcome to Ready, Set, Reiki.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracy. It's so beautiful to have you read my bio. It's such a level. It's like, wow. Look at all
Beautiful,
that.
isn't it?
You don't really take account of what you're doing oftentimes when you're on your journey, on your path. And yeah, it's nice to sort of get that affirmation. So thanks. I'm super happy to be here and talk to all these people that are listening and on their own spiritual journeys of awakening and development and growing and all that stuff.
All right, wonderful. So let's begin our journey together. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So what I would say is that, So what I would say, what I'd like to address actually first in that question is, there's this, miscommunication, misperception out there in the world that, a person has to be born a psychic, or a person has to be born into healing, have healing hands, that sort of thing. And I would say that is BS. And yeah, my journey started early. In Catholicism, I felt like I wanted to be a priest when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and went through many journeys along the way. Never actually like went towards priesthood until I was around 30 years old ish. And then I did go through a seminary and get my reverend, whatever that's called, certification degree. But my life has been a real eclectic gathering of my interests along the way. And it's only through kind of looking back at it does it make sense. When I was in it, it didn't make sense. When I was going to college and I was picking and choosing these weird classes, it didn't make sense. I just thought I was doing what I loved. And then it turned out I got careers and jobs doing what I loved in those fields without even really knowing it. So I feel like I've had a really strong connection to God, to spirit, to source, in a personal way, in a real personal way. And learning to trust my guidance, learning to trust my heart, learning to trust my desires has been a really long journey. And it's really only through looking back that you can say, oh yeah, this is where I chose correct, like according to my guidance. And here's where I chose against my guidance, and that didn't go out so well. Right. So that kind of thing. So I would say I'm really kind of this eclectic collector of tradition and ceremony and ritual and spiritual modalities.
All right, very good. So when did awakening your light body come into your life? Did you find it or did it find you?
Wow. You told me you were going to ask that question, and now like a whole new train of thought has just come in. So I'm going to share the story.
See, spirit led, I told you.
Yeah, so spirit led. So how awakening your light body came into my life. This is actually kind of interesting. I was 29, 30 years old ish, somewhere in there. I think I was 30. And I told you I had gone through Catholicism and had this kind of crazy like dark night of the soul with Catholicism. And then in my early 20s, I delved into Wicca. But at the very beginning, I had this crazy feeling, that's leftover feeling from Catholicism, that if I touched Wicca, if I looked into these books, that I was going to go to hell. So I had to like manage that, right? Like I had to like kind of unwind all of that. And I was very much interested in the goddess religion in my 20s. And I looked into the ancient goddess cultures and saw how beautiful they were, and how a lot of the traditional goddess cultures and goddess ceremonies and goddess rituals I was inherently doing, just like instinctively doing. Um, and so through Wicca, we had a bunch of my friends used to get together and we did like moon circles, women's moon circles, and we got really good at it. And we were manifesting like crazy, and just beautiful, amazing things, changes in our lives. We were coming together and doing the ceremonies and seeing the results. And so how light body came into my life was right after a breakup with a dude. I was leaving his house and I was crying, and I was like, that's it. I'm going to get serious about my path. I'm going to get serious on my spiritual journey. No more distractions with men. That was 20 years ago. And I still get distracted by men, but at least I'm on my path, right? So anyways, I'm on my path. So I did a ritual in our sacred circle, and the ritual was asking for a teacher. I was like, I'm ready for a teacher. God, spirit, goddess, send me a teacher to help me become this thing that I know that I am, that I can feel that I am. Um, and I swear, actually, it was within the ritual itself, within the ceremony itself. I had this experience of doing the ceremony. I lit sparklers. I sent the energy up, and for those who are accustomed to sort of a Wiccan ceremony, you generate energy in the magical circle and then you send it up to the universe. So I threw my hand up in the air to throw my intention up and say, okay, I'm done. This is what I want. God, send me a teacher. And never before, never since, but in that moment, I saw a hand of light out of the sky shake my hand like deal. And I literally fell on my knees and wept because it was so outrageously real. And no drugs, no nothing. It was totally straight. And within a week, I found my teacher. Somebody, I know this person. I think you would get along with well. You should meet this person. So I went to meet this person, and she's like, I'm teaching this course, Awakening Your Light Body. And I was like, I think this is it. And yeah, and so I invested in it, and it changed my entire life. It changed everything about me. It gave me the ability to, well, firstly, I discovered that I am an empath. I was always an empath, but I didn't, until I studied the light body, I wasn't able to discern what energies were mine and what were others. But through the practicing of the light body techniques and just being in my own soul signature, my own feeling tone, it became very easy for me to discern when other people's energy was affecting my well-being.
Very good.
Um, yeah. So that's how I came to it.
Wonderful. Sounds absolutely magical.
It was magical. Yeah.
So, what is a common misconception about awakening your light body?
Oh, let's see. A common misperception about awakening your light body. I think that there are a lot of people out there in the world that are doing light body activations, light body awakening, a weekend of this, a weekend of that. And I'm going to say all of that is fine and good. However, the actual awakening of your light body is more about awakening or bridging your consciousness, your brain, your brain's ability to interpret what your soul and spirit are trying to share with it through your extrasensory perceptions. So when you introduced me, you said a leading guide to multidimensional sensory awareness. And that is what the light body is. And so the Awakening Your Light Body course that I took 20 years ago is the same course that I teach now. And it takes you through systematically, step by step, learning how to open energy body centers in your chakras or above your chakras in your energy field. It takes your consciousness into these places, into your field and into your light body. And what begins to happen over time, and not so long anymore, but over time, you begin to start to resonate through the practice with what your soul feels like, with what your spirit feels like. And that energy of your soul and your spirit feels like vitality, well-being, peace, calm, a sense of calm. And so I would say that the misperception in this is that you can just turn it on in a day or you can just turn it on in a weekend. My experience is that it takes a while to build the new neuro pathways in the brain that will assist you in interpreting the non-physical data that your light body will offer you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Or was
It
that
does. It
out
does.
there? Okay.
Yes. Very good. So in what ways can activating and integrating the light body assist in removing energetic blockages or clearing the client's energy field during a Reiki session?
During a Reiki session. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that first and foremost, awakening your light body is for you, is for the facilitator, is for the practitioner. The reason is because your light body is your extrasensory perception. Okay. And so then because you are developing your gifts through awakening your light body, which are the clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, all of that stuff becomes more and more heightened because you're actually developing it. You're practicing using it and you're practicing connecting to your light body, your spiritual body, which, by the way, is infinite, right? It's beyond time. It's beyond space. And so when you are a facilitator of Reiki, you would be using your light body to lift your consciousness above your mind and to receive the answers, solutions, or actions that your client needs in the highest way, in accordance to the highest way. So you would be directed to remove these energy blockages from a higher perspective. You might even be able, because you're developing your extrasensory perceptions, you may even be able to see that this dark cloud of energy here that I see in the client is actually repressed emotional energy from their childhood experience and you might even be able to see the vision, right, of when it happened. Right. And so when we started this interview, we were talking about how, or I shared with you how the psychic abilities, people think that you have to be born to be psychic, but they can actually be developed.
Sure.
And I've developed mine. I wasn't born with them. I didn't have them. I had a strong intuition. I had a strong knowing, but the psychic ability to see and the psychic telepathic abilities, all of that stuff was developed through opening into my light body, opening into my extrasensory perception, and then through practice, training my brain to interpret that non-physical data. And the non-physical data is like when you're looking at, I use that term, but it's a weird term. The non-physical data is that cloud of energy that you see or sense in your client that holds perhaps a childhood experience of falling off of a swing and nobody was there for her and they felt abandoned or whatever.
Sure.
That's the non-physical data that I'm talking about. Or the non-physical data is, oh, you're going to be uh, in the future, in not so far of a time off, somebody's coming into your life that's going to have these qualities. And for myself, I've sensed that on a physical level because my clairsentience, and I think a lot of Reiki practitioners and healers, a lot of them have the clairsentience where they feel as their first primary sense. So I would feel, you know how you feel like your best friend, or you feel the vibe of your dad or your mom, they have a feeling tone to them. So I would feel these new characters as they were coming into my life beforehand. So that's how using the light body as a facilitator can help you to really clear blocks, clear even like going back into past lives, because maybe that cloud where this experience happened in this life, maybe there's something behind it into a past life where she made a vow, for instance, or he made a vow, for instance. And then you get that data because you're able to access beyond time and space through your light body. Yeah.
Very good. So, how can the practices in awakening your light body help a practitioner more effectively channel and direct healing energies during a healing session?
That is a great question. And here's the thing with awakening your light body and the light body technologies, what you're doing oftentimes, and I teach healers, I teach therapists, I teach teachers, administrators, doctors, lawyers, people that work with other people. What you're able to do in a very short period of time, the first month or two of this course and this training, is you're able to create this incredible vibratory healing space for people where they will immediately feel at ease in your energy. As a therapist, counselor myself, guide myself, a lot of people would come into my office, into my healing space, and they would sit there and I'd be like, so what's going on? How's it going? And they would just immediately start crying. And they'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm crying so much. And I would have to tell them, like, it's fine. You're here. It's a safe space. And your body feels that it's now safe to release all that you've been holding on to, all that you've been carrying. And so that, more than sending energy, more than sending the Reiki into the actual problem, it's the light body itself creates this incredible container to hold people in so that they themselves can really release and transform and feel safe in your presence, in your energy.
Very good. So, in Reiki, in all systems, either has an attunement or a placement. Does awakening your light body provide a unique method for attuning or aligning the higher spiritual frequency that could help amplify the effectiveness of other healing modalities?
Great question. Yes. So the awakening your light body that I'm talking about, the path, the lineage, it was brought through I think it was the 1980s by Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer, otherwise known as channeled from Orin and Daben. And so it's a unique system. So you're talking about alignment activations. It's a unique system where there's 6 volumes of guided meditation study and practice. And with each one, you are training yourself to open energy body centers that are similar to the chakras, but of a um, higher vibrational manner. So on a scale from matter to spirit, the chakras would be closer to matter and the light body centers would be closer to spirit on that scale. So they're bringing in higher spiritual energies. And so each volume of work is an activation of the next level and of the next level and of the next level. And through these levels that you go through, there's six to begin with, there's six. You are also being held and trained to work through some personality healing along the way, because as you bring in this higher light, as you're bringing this higher frequency of your soul and your spirit, there are outdated modes of behavior, outdated modes of being that don't make sense for you anymore. And the personality needs some time to make adjustments to this higher level of flow, this higher level of ease. You'd be really surprised how many people have a glass ceiling on how happy, how joyful they will allow themselves to be. Unconscious glass ceiling. And as soon as they step over like that glass ceiling, like as soon as they get a little higher, like this is really good. Like life is really good. Life is really flowing for me. They get scared, like, oh my God, something bad is going to happen. Something bad must be that it's going to happen. And so like the personality itself is always trying to protect us from that bad thing that's going to happen.
Right.
And so the light body training takes you through lots of personality shifts, changes, healings, updating, and all of the education that you receive through that gives you more skills to work with your clients, more practices to give to your clients, helping them to go in and like, for instance, there's one called age regression. It's an age regression journey. So you would do the age regression journey whenever you're experiencing personality conflicts with somebody else is triggering you. You would do the age regression journey and go back in time in your mind to when that event started, when that trigger was created, and then dissolve it and then love it back into wholeness. And so just through the practice of that, learning how to do that within yourself, you can bring that to the clients. For instance, you see that dark cloud when you're doing the Reiki, you can, as you're moving that energy with them, you can kind of say like, well, something happened around age 6. What do you think it is? And then you can sort of like guide them into healing the parts of the personality that got stuck in time, that got stuck in the event, that got stuck in the pain, and help evolve those parts to maturity as well. Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
I feel a lot of tangents coming through me.
So you have been out there working with thousands of individuals, teaching and coaching them to awaken their light body and discover their divine gifts, and helping them with their challenges and struggles. What has been the biggest challenge, or rather struggle, you have faced in your healing journey?
My biggest challenge?
Yes,
My
in
biggest
your
challenge
own journey. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, everybody, here you go. So I told you that I was brought up as Catholic, right? I was also brought up to believe in the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but I was very old. I was like 13 years old when I found out that Santa Claus doesn't exist. Because my parents had Santa Claus come to our house when we were a kid, and I found him. He was in our living room. So to me, he was solid. Like I didn't care what anybody else said. And that's the Aries force too, right? Like we are stubborn. Like I know Santa exists. He was at my house. I sat on his lap. So Santa existed. And the way that I found out was really, really traumatic. It was I heard my father laughing with a bunch of his guy friends about how I still believed in Santa. So it was really, really traumatic. I know, 13-year-old drama. But what happened was because of that, it broke my trust in God and in Jesus, right? It like all of the stuff that was coming up, like all of the stuff that I believed in was now under question. Like you lied about Santa, and you let me believe in it until I was 13, and now You still want me to believe in God? You still want me to believe in Jesus? What is this? And so that actually took me a very, very long time. And even though I was always on this spiritual quest, I knew inherently that God existed. But I couldn't find the proof of it. I couldn't find the proof of it. And even after taking the Awakening the Light Body course, even after all of this spiritual work, even after the proof of manifestations and synchronicities and all of the magic, even after I was a spiritual healer, like spiritual counselor, all of that, there was still this like doubt in my mind, like, what if it's all a lie? What if it's all a lie? And one of my beautiful BFFs out in California was going through a spiritual psychology master's degree. And so I had this great BFF who was also a counselor and just great. And so I told her about this feeling of just like not knowing if I should just go get a real job. Like, is it all false? Am I lying to myself and everybody else? Should I just go get a real job? And she said, well, what is it if we ask your higher self, if we ask your guides and your higher self, what do they say about it? And so she took me through a little process. And what happened was my higher self came through. And so she asked, like, well, what do you have to say about this voice in Zara's head that says God's not true? Like, all of this isn't true. What do you have to say about that? And so then the higher self said, well, if I'm not true, if the higher self isn't true, if the spiritual information isn't true, if what you're receiving from the spiritual side of your being, the spiritual mind isn't true, then the negative thoughts aren't true either. None of it's true. So which would you rather be guiding you? Right. So it was like, it was very interesting. The way that the higher self answered was not defensive, not offensive, just plain. Like, do you want to believe that you are a divine creator of your universe and that you're connected to all that is? Or do you want to believe that you're not? Either one, it's a belief. Either one, it's a thought form. Either one actually has no power, no truth, no, it's just a thought. So what do you want to think? And that was the beginning of that unraveling. It actually took quite a bit longer, and some real spiritual initiations to get me to fully trust that God was there and had my back, and it's all in divine plan.
Right. Thank you for sharing that story with us.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one. Yeah.
Right. I told you spirit is guiding.
Yeah.
So when it is time for you to get an energetic tune-up, what are some qualities that you look for in an energy healer?
There are a lot of qualities that I would look for, but and I used to go get healing and I used to go get readings quite a lot. And I think that as we up level and we upskill, that we do a lot of it ourselves. So I don't go very often anymore for that stuff because I receive the guidance myself. And so what I would say is oftentimes spirit leads us to the person, to the healer, to the teacher, just like I found my Awakening Your Light Body teacher through a request and then synchronicity. So trusting in that sort of synchronistic path, if you're looking for a healer and a healer showing up, that's probably the one to work with. However, there are some red flags when you're working with someone, and it depending on what you have to work on yourself, like what kind of energy you're holding, it may be difficult to discern those red flags. So if you're holding a lot of victim consciousness and a sense of powerlessness and wanting somebody to save you, and you find somebody that's like, I'm going to save you, I'm going to fix you, I'm the one that can do it, don't worry, I'm going to take care of everything. And I'm going to have to see you again next week and next week and next week and next. So like, if you find somebody that's like, I'm going to do it, like I'm the one, that's kind of a red flag, because the healing itself is always self facilitated.
Sure.
The healer is holding the space, and the person that's on the table receiving the healing, say, is actually doing the healing, is allowing the healing to be done. Now that being said, there are people out there that have been doing it a long time, and as they are practiced, I'm going to say this as a generality. Okay. So a lot of people can practice for a long time and not grow and expand. But most of us, if we're practicing and we're really into this, our channels grow. And so we can actually ground and anchor greater spiritual power, greater spiritual current, because we've built a bridge over a longer period of time. This is a generality. Some people are just turn it on and they're like megawatted. But in general, those that have been doing it for a long time have a stronger, clearer channel to be able to deliver what's needed in a clearer way. That's not to say that somebody just out of a Reiki class isn't fantastic and wonderful, and they absolutely need to practice, and you will absolutely receive some benefit from them. It's very, very important, though, for those of you who are going to healing Reiki session, that you're not giving your power away and putting your healer on a pedestal.
Right. Very good. So our next question is, what advice would you give someone who is deciding to enter spiritual work, say as a career?
It's a journey. It's a roller coaster. It's not a straight line. It is not a straight line. It is squiggly and it is messy, and it is, for me, it is the most fascinating, intriguing, exciting realm of work. I love looking into the possibilities. I love working with people. I love watching their transformation. But it does require impeccable integrity and impeccable willingness to look at yourself and to look at the mirror of life and to not project, but to really take responsibility for your choices and things. So my advice in regards to moving into this as a career is to find what is interesting to you. What is the most interesting, most fascinating thing to you? And to dive into it with all of your heart, explore it with all of your heart for yourself, for your growth, for your expansion, for your experience of understanding what it is to go into these realms, because it is crazy, and it's crazy town in here. It's like you have to really be solid. And I will tell you, we're talking about awakening your light body, and this has been the savior for me, because with these techniques, I'm able to come back to myself whenever I get knocked out, like knocked out by life, knocked out by the life experience, or knocked out by other people's energies, or knocked out by earth energies or human collective energies. When you get knocked out, it's how quick, it's not that we don't get knocked out as spiritual practitioners. We get knocked out all the time, but it's how quickly we address and transform and transmute that energy and come back to our center. And then I think that the center is probably different for, it looks a little different for everyone, but essentially that center is knowing that there's something much, much bigger than we are that's running the show. And that energy, that consciousness that's so much bigger than we are, is actually animating all of the light, all life force everywhere. Right. So it's in me, it's in you, it's in every single one of us. And I have to, as a healer and also as a daughter and as a sister and as a partner, I have to constantly step back from trying to fix and heal and lecture and teach my family and my friends, and just trust that the divinity is within them and that they are fully competent to lead their lives in however beautiful or messy way that they want. So it's constant work, it's constant introspection and constant growth. And it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yes, it is a journey for sure, right?
It's a journey.
There's no destination. So what books do you recommend?
The first book that flipped my world upside down was called Illusions by Richard Bach. And I read that when I was 16 or 17 years old in high school. And it was when I was going through the dark night of the soul of whether or not I was going to allow myself to be confirmed as a Catholic.
Mm.
And I had asked God for a sign, and I had asked God for a sign to say, yes, you should be Catholic. And I didn't receive one. And so I chose, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to follow through with this family tradition. I take my vows very seriously. And it was a big uproar in our family. But within a week after that, the book Illusions by Richard Bach popped into somebody gave it to me. Some kid at high school gave it to me. And it changed my whole perspective on how the world is, how the world works. And through this new lens, that all of this is an illusion. Even time is an illusion. It's all happening now. Like all of that stuff. It gave me a completely different lens to look at my reality and my empowerment within this reality to change and shift things. So that was the first one. And then Paul Selig, I Am Word, is incredible. Have you read that one? Have you heard of that one?
I have not.
His book are all channeled by his guides, and they're activators. So when you're listening to them and you repeat some of the stuff that he says, they're activating higher consciousness within you. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it as you do it. But yeah, other spiritual works like The Mists of Avalon were amazing, and The Red Tent was fantastic. Her story kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right, very good. So what other services do you offer? Do you offer classes, events, training? And are they online and in person or both?
Well, everything has shifted online since 2020. We did have an office space in Kingston where we held a lot of workshops for a long time. But now we've moved to online, and I literally just moved into this new place. It's a little cottage in the Adirondacks on a lake, and Spirit has been guiding me to have little lakeside retreats here, like 1 and 2 day lakeside retreats. So that's the beginning. Lots of classes and events. I have a YouTube channel that's got lots of meditations on it, starseed journeys and light body activations. The light body class, I plan to teach or open the registration twice a year. I think the next one is in September. We usually try to do it on the fall equinox or the spring equinox because it's a 6-month to a year course. Yeah, and I'm actually, this is my next growing edge is I'm actually shifting my business. I'm shifting what's being offered out there in the world, and I'm in the stew of it at the moment. So right now we're still going on what has been and we're continuing to do. Akashic record readings for heart services, heart clearing, violet alchemy purification and empowerment healing sessions. Those are really amazing. Going into those go into like past lives and karmic wounds and clearing cords between clearing vows, empowering light language, light technologies, all that kind of stuff. Really big transformations in a short period of time, just with like a personal healing. Um, and that's it at the moment. I have these big visions of like grand ceremonies and bringing light workers to sacred sites all over and doing light body grid work and work for humanity, human consciousness. And a lot of what we're doing in our online classes, when we have these tablet series, these tablet activation series, and we're teaching people how to and getting together in groups and clearing glamours, clearing illusions from the mental body. And we're doing it with light technologies. We're doing it personally, but we're also doing it collectively. So that's part of my like heart's mission, is to get light workers empowered enough that we can have these group gatherings and really help to clear some of the density that's in the collective. Yeah.
Very good. How can we get in touch with you?
So zarastarchild.com is the best way. My website, also the YouTube channel you can find on Zara Starchild YouTube channel. Email zarastarchild@gmail, that kind of thing. And I think I'll give you a link for and the link that I give you for this podcast will have a couple free gifts on it. There'll be a free crown chakra meditation to open and activate the crown chakra. And also, I believe there's a free flower of life meditation that was recently recorded. That's pretty exciting for manifestation.
All right, beautiful. Thank you for that. So take advantage of that, listeners. What a blessing. Well, Zara, this ends our first part of our journey together. And now I'm going to continue to guide you into the next 3 questions. So this is a ready, set Reiki first. So normally I have listeners and Reiki students submit questions, but these questions were created with AI. So let's begin the journey here.
Love it.
Number 1, what specific techniques do Awakening Your Light Body offers to help enhance energy sensitivity?
Could you repeat that, please?
What specific techniques do Awakening Your Light Body offer to help enhance energy sensitivity?
Okay. So energy sensitivity. So the Awakening Your Light Body teaches you how to focus your awareness on subtle energy. It also teaches and trains the brain how to hold several tracks at once. So you can be having a conversation with somebody, you can be listening to what they're sharing with you, and you can also be running the energies to kind of stabilize your emotions, clear your thoughts, prepare yourself for what comes next, as well as hold a healing space for someone. Your subtle energy awareness is developed over time through placing your awareness. And the light body teaches you how to place your awareness. So place your awareness in your body or place your awareness outside of your body. So, I think that we go around, we don't often think that we can do all of these things that we can do. Like we can literally talk to trees. We can hear trees. We can have communication with trees. We can have communication with the earth. We can have communication with the water. We can have communication with the air. We can have silent communication with each other. A lot of people, a lot of my clients, and this happened actually this morning, she was about to say something. We were about to say something at the same time, and it happened to be almost the same thing. Right. So I would say it and she's like, did you read my mind? Because I was just going to ask you that. And so it's like, there's so much energy and subtle energy that we are constantly bombarded with, and yet we don't become aware of it because because we're not open to receive it. We're not placing our awareness on it. We're not interested in it. And so you mentioned something about an exercise. I would love to take your listeners through an exercise either now or in the, when we're complete with the questions, just to demonstrate how this awareness works, and so how subtle energy awareness can be built as well.
All right, very good. We'll go on to our next question, and then we will have the exercise after
Yeah.
that third question. All right, sounds great. All right, number 2, because it's kind of a little bit of same thing. So the question 2, are there any particular awakening your light body exercise that can help me maintain energetic boundaries when working with clients?
Such a great question. Such a great question. So here's the thing. When you awaken your light body, you no longer need to set energetic boundaries. And the reason is because, and this is like when I told you I was an empath, right? I discovered I was an empath through this work, because when you awaken your light body and you feel, know, embody, and experience the frequency of well-being that is your soul frequency, your own soul signature, when you get yourself attuned to that soul signature, and another person's energy comes in, we then pre-light body, we would sort of like embody that energy. And now I would become anxious per se. Like somebody else is anxious in the room. Now I'm anxious. Why am I so anxious? I wasn't anxious 30 seconds ago. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. But now after light body, it's like, oh, I'm feeling groovy. I'm feeling groovy. Oh, there's anxiety. I feel anxious. Oh, this isn't mine. So as soon as you say, and this can be, you don't have to do light body for this. If you're a practitioner, if you just say, whatever it is that you're feeling, the emotion of, if it's a sudden switch, it's usually not yours. It's coming from outside of you. And so if you literally just say inside your mind, this isn't mine, it will detach. If it's not yours, it'll detach, and you can start to observe it as a witness rather than allowing it to embody you and experiencing it. And so, yeah. So post light body training, you don't need so much the energetic boundaries. And this is one of the things that I teach to my students, is that you're an empath for a reason. Like, you have the ability to sense the energies in the room. This is like a gift. You don't need to be bombarded by it anymore, or subjected to it in a negative way. But it's like walking outside and feeling the temperature or feeling the weather. And then you go inside and you put your raincoat on, or you go inside and you get your umbrella. So if you are in the presence of an energy that is anxiety, for instance, you now have the light body tools to turn on calm or peace. You can return to peace. If there's a really interesting teaching that I do in the class, which is it's talking about a standing wave of energy. And you'll experience this. One of the really benign ways of experience the standing wave is when you go to a grocery store. And if you go to a grocery store and you don't have anything really pressing to do afterwards, so you're not in a rush, but you get into the grocery store and suddenly you're standing in the line, and now you're rushed. Now you're impatient. Like, you feel impatient and you can't wait to get out of there, and it starts to irritate you and you get really impatient. If you've ever experienced that, you've walked into the standing wave of impatience that has been collecting in that spot from every person that has stood there and felt impatience. And so it stays in that spot, it stays in that location. But here's the beauty of it is, as the light body turned on, you walk into that standing wave of impatience, you discern, oh, this is impatience. I feel impatience through your empathic skills. And instead of continuing to feel it, like, oh, let me bring patience here. Let me stand and anchor and turn on the frequency of patience within my own being. And you become the transmuter of that energy. And so when we talk about energetic boundaries, it's not so much necessary because you can hold your own and you can transmute that misaligned energy in the area around you.
Right, very good. Our third question: can the multidimensional awareness developed through awakening your light body assist a healer in perceiving the client's energetic patterns?
Absolutely. The multisensory awareness, and when we take you through this exercise that I'm going to share with you in a little while, um, you'll have some idea about how it works. But your multi-dimensional awareness reaches beyond time, reaches beyond space. And so when you learn to or discover how to focus your awareness on the energetic patterns, you will either be guided to feel what they are as an emotional state, or you may see the experience that caused it, the cause and core, or symbolically see, right? So there's a lot of friends of mine that will see animals, or they'll see symbols in these spaces, and then the brain has to interpret those symbols. You can also send your energy. So with the awareness, with the light body and the multidimensional body, you can actually send your awareness through time, through the past. You can go there in your awareness to the past experience, and discover information that would be helpful in healing and unraveling it, right? So I can give you a for instance. There was a woman client of mine who came quite frequently for a while. And she had low confidence in herself. She had low confidence in herself. And she wanted to create a sacred relationship and she couldn't find a sacred beloved. And so we moved through time and we actually went into the experience of her being a child, and her parents fighting and divorcing or fighting in front of her, pushing her away. And so through sort of, so, so as she's telling me what's happening, I'm moving my light body into that space and I'm seeing it or I'm feeling it, and I'm sensing into it, and I'm getting the data, and and so then I'm coaching and guiding her like, hey, your child's self felt as though nobody wanted you. Nobody wanted you around. They were pushing you away. They didn't want you there. But now can you see as an adult that these adults were just fighting, and it had nothing to do with you. It had nothing to do with your presence. They just didn't have the capacity to handle one more thing in their lives, and it had nothing to do with you. And by taking her back there together, sort of unpacking it, she was able to let that go entirely. And she became like a Zumba instructor in the next month. And that was like just a huge being able to stand in front of people and dance and instruct was like a big, huge achievement in regards to her confidence level.
Right. Right. Wonderful. Well, that was our last AI question. And as we've been talking, is there anything that you have forgotten that you like to share, or would you like to take the time to share one of your exercises?
Yeah, I would love to do a little exercise with you guys. So this is going to be a really simple exercise. I'm going to invite you guys to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just take a quick breath in, a long, deep breath in, and take catalog, assess what your body feels like right now. Just get a baseline of what your body feels like right now physically. Are you tired? Are you excited? Are you jacked up on caffeine? Are you relaxed? What does your body feel like? Do you have discomfort anywhere? And now take your awareness to um where your body is touching the seat or the couch or the floor, wherever it is that where you're making contact. So feel the pressure of your body's weight against the furniture. And then feel what's going on with your feet. Do you have socks on? Do you have shoes on? What do they feel like? Are they barefoot? Is it cool? Is it warm? What is the texture that your feet are picking up? And then bring your awareness to the waistband of your pants or your skirt. Can you feel that against your body? Can you feel the bra strap if you have one? Can you feel any jewelry you might have on your body? Earrings, necklaces, bracelets? Can you feel the hair against your neck? Glasses against your nose? Can you hear any additional ambient sound inside of the room, like the refrigerator, the computer, the fan? Is there any noise outside of the room that you're in that you can feel or hear? What about the taste inside of your mouth? What does your mouth taste like right now? And then you just open your eyes. And what I would say in regards to this exercise is that your body is picking up on everything all of the time, all of those things it was feeling all at once. Would you say that's true, Melissa, Tracy?
Yes.
Yeah. So your body's always feeling, always hearing, always tasting, always, always, always. But you're not aware of all of those things until you place your awareness on them and to actually bring your brain to them. And so it's the very same thing with your subtle energy, with your spiritual body, and with your light body. It's picking up all kinds of data all of the time, all of the time. And we're not consciously aware of it because we're not putting our awareness on it. We're not asking for that data. But you can. You can ask for that data. You can get that data. You can expand your perceptions. All of those old remote viewing. Remember the FBI and stuff was doing or CIA was doing like remote viewing. All that, like that stuff is real. You can literally project your consciousness across a room and see, or across the world and see something, hear something, get a taste for something. You can send your consciousness back in time to receive information. And it's really the experience of awakening your light body and tuning into your actual spiritual body is breaking free of these chains of limitation that say that we are our physical selves, that we are our physical body, that we're contained in our physical body. And one of the things that I like to share with people first and foremost is that there's this common misperception out there that's repeated over and over and over again around the world, that when we're born, our soul comes into our body, and when we die, our soul leaves our body. And from my experience, what's closer to the truth is that our soul and our spirit is so big, so vast, so powerful, so immense that it cannot fit in your little human body. And what's closer to the truth is that your physical body is inside of your soul body. And if you just flip that switch in your awareness, all kinds of things open up for you.
All right. Well,
And so
thank
I'll leave
you,
it with
Zara.
that. Yeah.
Thank you, Zara, for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey today.
It was such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure to meet with you, hang with you, and get to feel into your listeners through time and space.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, my wonderful listeners, if you would like your question featured on the show, reach out, www.readysetreiki.com. And check out Feather Sister Wellness that offers a variety of yoga trainings, yoga classes, Reiki, and Reiki trainings. I'm Tracy C. Wright, and this has been Ready, Set, Reiki.